You've been praying, fasting, declaring, binding and loosing, and nothing changed. The email hit your inbox like a slap. We regret to inform you. Denied. You walked out of that branch with a fake smile and a stomach drop. Meanwhile, the guy who brags about blowing checks and skipping rent just got funded in 24 hours. He's flexing keys. You're clutching silence. And there it is, the secret thought you hate to admit. God, did you forget me? You replay it in your head. The words you told people, God is about to make a way. The update they asked for. Any news? The way your throat tightened because your testimony got stuck behind a closed door. Embarrassment, anger, a little jealousy you don't want to name. You wonder if you missed a sign, if you didn't shout loud enough, so big enough, pray long enough. You even rebuked imaginary devils in the loan office. And heaven? Quiet. The kind of quiet that feels like rejection. Here's what nobody told you in church. Some no's from God are the richest blessings you'll ever get. You don't even know what you were about to sign. You saw a pen. God saw chains. The borrower is slave to the lender. Slave. You don't call it that because the lobby smelled like espresso and the paperwork had glossy logos. But the spirit of it was the same. Your future mortgaged to a decision you made under pressure. You asked for a testimony. He gave you a rescue. I need you to feel the tension of how close it was. One decision away. One click away from 10 years of payments that don't care about your calling. One signature away from a partner who smiles like a blessing and leaks like a hole in your roof. One fast funding away from a predatory rate that fattens the lender and bleeds you drip by drip. And you called it delay. Heaven called it disaster prevention. Don't get spooky on me. This is not superstition, not fear, discernment with receipts. I have watched instant approvals turn into 29.99% interest and late fee dominoes that crush a home. I've watched kingdom collaborations siphon time, money, and peace until your joy files for bankruptcy. I've watched saints write checks to what they can't explain, only to discover they were the product, not the investor. I've watched people sprint into debt to finance an identity their skill cannot sustain yet. The closed door wasn't cruel, it was kind. It said, not like this, not with them. Not at that rate, not on that timeline. So breathe, wipe your face, receive the mercy you wanted to rebuke. God didn't embarrass you. He intercepted what was aiming to own you. You're not forgotten, you're being fathered. You said, I'm waiting on God. God is waiting on you to stop romanticizing bondage, to learn the difference between opportunity and a trap in a tuxedo, to obey the blueprint he already wrote. Pressure is not guidance. Approval is not provision. And a closed bank door might be the sound of heaven shouting, my child, step back. We build with wisdom and margin here. Stop calling every delay a demon. Sometimes the holdup isn't hell, it's heaven checking your bags. Inspections, not to shame you, to save you. Revelation 3:7 calls me, the one who opens and no one shuts, who shuts and no one opens. I don't just guide you through doors, I guard which doors you touch. You heard denied. I said, not with those numbers, not with that partner, not with those motives. You wanted speed. I wanted safety. A father who loves you will slow you down when the bridge ahead is out. And before religion scrambles to the mic, no, this is not prosperity gospel. Not name it and claim it. Not just wait and it'll fall from the sky. That's page 1. I believe in prayer, pray hard, fast for clarity, but I'm not rewarding wishes. I reward obedience. Faith without works is dead, and a dead faith will not carry a living mortgage. You don't get to baptize recklessness in tongues and call it destiny. You move with wisdom, or you don't move. Hear me, I will not accelerate you into what your character, paperwork, and wisdom cannot sustain. You want the building? Luke 14:28. Sit down and count the cost. You want the business? Proverbs 24:27. Put your work in order, prepare your field. After that, build your house. Paperwork is spiritual. A budget is spiritual. Clean credit practices are spiritual. Contracts you can explain are spiritual. If your temper is loose, your spending is impulsive, your plan is foggy, and your counsel is absent, why would a good father fund the version of you that would drown? I'm not withholding good. I'm withholding a weight that would crush the untrained shoulders carrying it. You keep asking for open doors. I'm running an audit. Proverbs 16:2. All a person's ways seem pure to them, but motives are weighed by the Lord. I'm not just looking at the rate on the paper. I'm looking at the rate in your heart. How fast you need applause, how quick you'll trade peace for optics. I see the clause you skimmed that spikes the APR when the teaser ends. I see the blessing partner who smiles in the lobby and lies in the ledger. I see the balloon payment timed to burst the week your slow season hits. I am not just guiding you, I am guarding you. So call it what it is, a divine inspection. Delay does not mean denial, it means diagnosis. Do you carry peace or pressure? Do your numbers survive a pencil, not a prayer cloth? Do you have counsel? Proverbs 15:22. So your plans are established, or do you hide from wise eyes because you know they'll tell you to wait? This pause is mercy with a clipboard. Pass the check and you'll move faster than you imagined. Fail it, and I'll keep you still to fix what would have failed you in motion. Let me show you what you couldn't see on the other side of that bank counter. You weren't asking for something wicked. You had a good reason. A van for the business so you could stop turning down jobs. A house so your kids get a yard and a stable school zone. A car that doesn't pray in tongues every time it hits the freeway. An investment duplex because you're tired of renting. You had a plan, a spreadsheet, a mood board, and even a verse you taped to the mirror. You told yourself, this is stewardship. You told me, God, if you open this door, I'll give you glory. And at the counter, the pen felt like destiny in your fingers. I saw under the gloss, the teaser rate that looks like kindness for 18 months, and then spikes like a snake. Variable APR that moves with market conditions you can't control, turning your budget into a lottery ticket. A balloon payment crouching at month 36. Time to explode the very quarter your slow season arrives. A personal guarantee clause that says when the business has a cold, they can repossess your bed, your couch, your grandmother's dining table, and keep coming until you are wrung out. Cross-collateral language that lets them grab the car to satisfy the line of credit and the savings to feed the card. One net catching everything you thought was separate. It read like opportunity. It functioned like a trap. Proverbs 22:7. The borrower is slave to the lender. Say it out loud. Slave. You don't like that word because you can still choose your ringtone and your latte, but count it in modern terms. Payment-to-income ratio that eats 45% before you buy bread. Late fees that stack on late fees until the interest compounds your anxiety at 29.99% APR. Auto pays that drain your account the day before payroll hits, so now you're overdrafting, paying 3 times for the same mistake. And when a lender can set the due date, the penalty, the pace of your month, tell me, who is master? Who is servant? Slave. You told yourself it's just one signature, but one signature writes checks. Your future self has to cash with stress. Stress steals clarity. Under pressure, you take the overtime that kills your Sabbath. You cut corners you used to call convictions. You say yes to clients that poison your team because you need the invoice to float a payment you never should have taken. You rob Peter to pay Paul, then block both of them because you can't face the phone calls. And you spiritualize the spiral. The devil is fighting me. No, math is. Disobedience is. The system you yoked yourself to is. I saw the day your kid's tooth needs a crown, and the decision isn't dentist or dinner out, it's dentist or delinquent. I saw the winter where the contracts freeze and you're begging extensions from a company policy that doesn't care about your calling. I saw the moment a partner you barely vetted burns the cash, and the clause you didn't read makes you the insurance policy for their incompetence. You would have called it persecution. It would have been paperwork, so I closed it. Not to starve your dream, to keep your neck free, because here's what you won't hear from a billboard. Chains can jingle like keys, a shiny vehicle, a fresh deed, a launch day selfie, and while you're posting, a clock starts, and every tick is a draft on your joy. You think you were one signature away from freedom. You were one signature away from panic. It wasn't just about the money, it was about who would have touched the money. You thought you were asking me for capital. You were about to hand my provision to a person I didn't send. The bank's no slammed on both of you at once because your yes would have put gasoline in a car with a hole in the tank. You were calling it partnership. I was calling it a leak with a smile. You know the type. Charisma for days. Slides that sparkle. This window is closing. We have to move by Friday. Vague numbers packed with confidence. Big promises and borrowed testimonies. 3 selfies with 3 pastors like a credential. They sprinkle kingdom on everything to disarm your caution. God told me you're the one. No. Proverbs 29:5. Flattering lips spread a net. When the compliment becomes a lasso, it is not prophecy. It is a trap. Listen to me. Proverbs 19:2. Desire without knowledge is not good. Whoever hurries his steps misses the way. Rushing is not anointing. Proverbs 28:20. The one eager to get rich will not go unpunished. Eagerness without evidence is not faith. It is bait. And here the boundary you keep ignoring. Proverbs 6:1-5, 17:18. Do not put up security for your neighbor. Do not shake hands in pledge for a stranger. If you cannot control it, do not guarantee it. If you cannot explain it, do not attach your name to it. Love does not mean leverage your future for someone else's fog. Red flags you tried to rebuke away were me screaming through paperwork. No operating agreement, just vibes and we're family here. No audited or even clean books, just screenshots and trust me, bro. No customer acquisition proof, no cost per lead, no conversion rate, no retention, no lifetime value, just we're going viral soon. Roles unclear, you do the work, they collect the credit, sweat equity that never matures into ownership because the goalposts move. Refusal to put terms in writing, legalese quenches the spirit. Refusal to give you bank access. That level of transparency shows you don't believe. Meanwhile, every time you ask a hard question, they quote a verse to make caution look carnal. That's not spirituality, that's manipulation with scripture in its mouth. I shut the door because you were about to co-sign away your peace. Surety is not compassion, it is captivity when tied to the wrong person. I saw the meeting where their late taxes become your lien. I saw the day their oops becomes your overdraft. I saw the email where their quiet addiction devours a quarter's profit, and you can't fire what you funded because you never defined authority on paper. You would have called it spiritual warfare. It would have been the absence of boundaries. Walk with the wise and become wise. A companion of fools suffers harm. That is not a suggestion. It is a forecast. I do not bless partnerships I did not author. I will not finance a leak because you're afraid to say no to a smile. You keep praying for provision while auditioning drains. My no wasn't to embarrass you. It was to protect what I intend to build through you. And if you're mad at me for stopping it, you're assuming you see what I see. You don't. You see charisma. I see character under pressure. You see a door. I see the room behind it. Now breathe, back away from the charm offensive, and get ready, because I already answered your money prayer, in Proverbs, in Jesus' mouth, in plain instructions you can obey. I already answered your money prayer, not last night, not in a mysterious whisper, in Proverbs, in Jesus' own mouth. In plain sentences you can obey. You keep standing at closed counters asking for a miracle while the manual sits open on your nightstand. You want wind to carry you. I gave you a blueprint to build with. I am not hiding wisdom. I printed it. Over 2,300 verses on money, work, debt, honesty, generosity, planning. You don't have an information problem. You have an application problem. I won't reward what you refuse to obey. Hear me clearly. The Bible is not vague about money. It is a system, not slogans. Proverbs 21:5. The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance. That's planning, not vibes. Proverbs 13:11. Whoever gathers little by little makes it grow. That's patience, not lottery faith. Proverbs 11:1. The Lord detests dishonest scales. That's integrity in business, not cutting corners and calling it favor. Proverbs 22:7. The borrower is slave to the lender. That's a boundary, not a suggestion. And Jesus, the one you follow, is the one who said, "Which of you, intending to build a tower, does not first sit down and count the cost?" That is budgeting. That is risk calculation. That is spreadsheet holiness. You prayed, "Open the door." I replied, "Open the book." You asked for funding. I asked for discipline. You asked for acceleration. I asked for accuracy. Sit down and count. Not just the payment. Count the margin after the payment. Not just the upside. Count the slow season, the tax bill, the maintenance nobody Instagrams. Wisdom is not fear. Wisdom is me preventing you from making enthusiasm your business plan. The closed bank door was not a punishment. It was an invitation to switch operating systems from urgency and optics to order and obedience. Stop waiting for a feeling to do what I already commanded. Faith without works is dead, and a dead faith cannot produce a living income. Your effort is not the opposite of faith. It is the evidence of it. The widow's oil moved when she moved. Joseph's famine plan saved nations because he measured, stored, scheduled, and said no for 7 straight years. That is not less spiritual. That is what spirituality looks like when it touches a calendar and a ledger. Here's what I'm doing next for you. I'm taking the fog out of this. I'm going to hand you rules, guardrails, so you stop mislabeling protection as punishment and pressure as guidance. Not prosperity gimmicks, not name it and claim it instructions. If you will submit your money to my word the way you submit your Sunday to my worship, you will build with wisdom and margin, and no bank, no scam, no smiling leak will own you again. Get your pen. We're about to make obedience visible, not tomorrow, tonight. Rule 1. If it requires rush, it requires more discernment. Pressure is not guidance. It is often the enemy of wisdom. Scammers live on speed. Predatory deals survive on adrenaline. False partners weaponize your timeline. Act now. Offer expires. Last unit. Funding window closes at 5. Why? Because if you breathe, you'll see the clause. If you sleep, you'll hear me. If you slow, the mask slips. Proverbs 21:5. The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. Haste is not faith. Haste is a highway to loss. Hear my voice beneath the countdown clock. Proverbs 19:2. Desire without knowledge is not good. Whoever hurries his steps misses the way. Your desire may even be holy. Your hurry is not. Ecclesiastes 5:2-5. Do not be rash with your mouth. Better not to vow than to vow and not pay. Do not let your pen outrun your peace. It is a snare, Proverbs 20:25 says, to declare something holy and only later consider the cost. Wisdom is rarely loud. Pressure shouts. Wisdom whispers. Pressure corners. Wisdom counsels. Pressure demands signature. Wisdom demands understanding. So here is your protection protocol. Mandatory waiting period. Non-negotiable. Any financial decision that touches your future, debt, a partner, a lease, a vehicle, a contract, submit it to time, 24 to 72 hours. If a lender, seller, or kingdom collaborator won't let you take a day to think, they do not deserve a decade of payments. If the door closes because you asked for time, it wasn't your door. It was bait. Step 1. Sleep. At least one night. Fatigue makes fools brave and braver than their math. Step 2. Pray, not for a feeling, for clarity. Ask, Lord, what am I not seeing? What's the downside in slow season? What happens if revenue dips 30%? Step 3. Reread the terms out loud. Circle rate changes, penalties, prepayment clauses, cross-collateral language, personal guarantees, balloon payments, late fees, auto-renew traps, cancellation rules. If you can't find them, don't sign. Step 4. Ask one wise person who has nothing to gain. Proverbs 15:22. Without counsel, plans fail, but with many advisors, they succeed. Not your hype friend, someone boring, proven, precise. Step 5. Verify numbers. Pull 3 quotes. Run worst-case cash flow. After the payment, taxes, insurance, maintenance, do you have margin? If not, the deal owns you. Step 6. Remove emotion from the signature. No decisions inside adrenaline, embarrassment, loneliness, FOMO, or ego. If you need it to feel big to feel worthy, you're buying identity, not assets. Here's the tell. Pressure punishes your questions. Wisdom welcomes them. Pressure says, hurry. Wisdom says, understand. Pressure shrinks the window. I expand it so you can see. If the urgency grows as your clarity grows, walk away. My protection often looks like time, because time peels off the glitter and shows you the bill, because what you call faith is sometimes just impatience dressed up in church clothes. Slow down, sit down, count, then move. Sit down and count. That's not a suggestion, that's Jesus. Luke 14:28. Which of you, intending to build a tower, does not first sit down and count the cost to see if he has enough to finish? Translate that to your driveway, your lease, your business expansion. If the numbers are tight on your best month, it is a trap on your worst month. If it only works in June when invoices fly and overtime flows, it is not stewardship. It is presumption with a calculator. Here's what counting looks like in my kingdom. Margin. Not just, can I make the payment, but what's left after the payment when life shows up uninvited. Margin is 3 things at minimum. An emergency fund. Proverbs 21:20 says, the wise store up. Fools devour everything. Store something. A monthly cash buffer. 10 to 30% of take-home left after every bill, every tithe, every tax, every non-negotiable. And sober math. Revenue projected at its lowest quarter, expenses estimated at their highest. You don't build a tower with wishful arithmetic. You build with margin. Do this tonight. Write your full monthly nut, all of it. Not vibes, not averages, every recurring bill, housing, utilities, groceries, fuel, insurance, meds, childcare, subscriptions, phones, internet, debt minimums, giving, savings, repairs, licenses, software, maintenance, taxes. If you're self-employed, add 25 to 30% of net for taxes before you spend a dime on wants. Proverbs 27:23, know well the condition of your flocks. Paycheck or profit, count your sheep. Now calculate your debt to income. Tally every monthly debt payment, cards, cars, student loans, personal loans, lines of credit, BNPL. Divide by your gross monthly income, then do it again with your net. If the DTI is above the low 30s on gross, You are already in a chokehold. Do not add another yoke. If your net DTI is flirting with 50%, you are one surprise from a spiral. That is not spiritual warfare. That is math warning you before mercy has to rescue you again. Stress test it. Drop your income 20 to 30% on paper because slow seasons are real and storms don't book appointments. Add 10 to 15% to variable expenses because inflation and unexpected are cousins. Now ask, after this payment, is there still margin? If the answer is barely, the answer is no. If the answer is negative, you were about to fund panic. Hear me lovingly and firmly. I am not obligated to maintain your lifestyle to sustain your bad math. You keep asking me to stretch the month. I'm asking you to shrink the bill. You pray for favor with lenders while refusing to face the ledger. I will not finance delusion. Reduce the purchase price. Increase the down payment. Delay the deal until you have 3 months of expenses in cash and a 15 to 20% buffer after the projected payment. That is not fear. That is faith wearing wisdom like armor. Set the buffers in motion. Automate savings, day after payday, not day before rent. Call it peace. Start with $1,000 this month if you've never saved. Then press to 1 month, then 3. Cut 3 subscriptions tonight. Renegotiate insurance and phone. Pull 3 quotes on anything over $500. If you're a business owner, build a separate operating reserve, minimum 2 payrolls, so a client's delay doesn't become your default. And understand this, sometimes the bank saw what you refused to calculate. Risk. The underwriter didn't hate your calling, they read your ratios. They saw variable income with no reserves, a DTI that eats tomorrow, and an asset that becomes a liability in a downturn. That was not persecution, that was prevention. Learn to see like they see, but obey like I command. Count the cost, then multiply the margin. If you won't count it, you will pay it, with fees, with stress, with years you didn't have to lose. Sit down, count, create cushion, then and only then move. Rule 3, never cosign peace away. Surety is not love. Hear me like a father who refuses to let compassion turn into captivity. Proverbs is not shy about this. Proverbs 6:1-5. If you've put up security for your neighbor, you're snared by the words of your mouth. Go, humble yourself, plead for release, deliver yourself like a gazelle. Proverbs 11:15. Whoever puts up security for another will surely suffer, but whoever refuses to shake hands in pledge is safe. Proverbs 17:18. One who lacks sense gives a pledge. Proverbs 22:26-27. Do not be one who strikes hands in pledge. If you have nothing to pay, why should your bed be taken from under you? That's not metaphor. That's your literal bed at risk. Let's talk about the line that manipulates you the most. If you love me, you'll cosign. Translation, transfer my risk to your future. That's not love, that's leverage. Love bears burdens, yes, but love does not bind another person's throat to habits they refuse to change. Wisdom says do not tie your tomorrow to someone else's yesterday. You're not cold-hearted, you're clear-headed. I am not asking you to stop loving them. I am commanding you to stop mortgaging your peace to prove it. Understand the modern math of surety. When you co-sign, the loan is your loan in every system that matters. It sits on your credit report. It inflates your debt to income, so your own approvals shrink or die. One late payment you didn't even know about can drop your score by 100 points and raise your insurance premiums next renewal. Collectors call you. Your borrowing capacity is throttled. Your stress spikes at the first of every month because you're praying they remembered what you promised for them. That is a hidden wage garnishment, money you never touched already assigned by a signature you gave to keep the peace. Meanwhile, you don't control the due date, the spending, or the honesty. That's a slave chain in a friendly font. So here's your boundary script. Practice it out loud. I love you, so I won't cosign. That would endanger both of us. Here's what I can do. Offer alternatives you can afford without bondage. I'll sit with you Saturday and build a budget. I'll help you call 3 insurance companies and cut your premium. I'll introduce you to a credit union, a credit builder loan, a secured card, and a counselor at score.org. I'll give you $200 toward a down payment as a gift, not a loan. I'll help you find a reliable cash car and match your first $300 saved. I'll send job leads, review your resume, and drive you to interviews. I'll lend tools, not my credit. Clear, kind, final. No is holy when yes would make both of you fools. And if you already signed, Proverbs 6 gives you the play. Go now, humble yourself, and plead to be released. Ask for a refinance out of your name with a hard deadline. If they won't, set guardrails, automatic alerts, view-only access to the account, a sinking fund that prepares for your exit, a freeze on new debt. Do not add another pledge to solve the first. Deliver yourself like a gazelle, fast, focused, unapologetic. Hear me, I am not withholding generosity. I am protecting legacy. Your signature is stewardship. Guard it. God's protection often looks like a backbone you didn't want to grow. Rule 4. If you can't explain it simply, don't fund it. Hear me. Confusion is not a sign of brilliance. It's a smokescreen. Predators use complexity like camouflage, vague investment vehicles, while proprietary strategies, returns with no risk, jargon designed to make you feel small, so you rent their confidence with your cash. If you can't understand the deal, you are the deal. Proverbs 14:15. The simple believe anything, but the prudent give thought to their steps. Prudence asks questions until fog becomes math. Here is your discernment filter. Ask it in this order, and if you don't get clear answers, walk. Where does the money actually come from? What real customer? Buying what real product or service at what price? Show me the contract. What does it cost to deliver? Hard costs, labor, fees, fulfillment? Show me the margin. When do dollars move? What is the timeline from investment to revenue to payout? Show me the schedule. Who holds the money during the wait? Escrow, third-party custodian, or your cousin's Cash App? Show me the custody. What kills the deal? Regulations, supply chain, churn, competition. Show me the risks and who eats the loss. How do I exit? Liquid market or locked until whenever? Show me the door out. If they can't or won't show, they're not leading you. They're using you. Watch the red flags and don't romance them. Guaranteed returns. There is no guaranteed return this side of heaven. Pressure to keep it quiet. The real players don't want this public. Don't tell your accountant. No paperwork, just a deck and a dream. No third-party verification, no CPA-reviewed statements, no license, no regulator, no escrow, no independent references from paying clients. Friend of a friend, credibility. He did a deal with a pastor in Houston, but no receipts. Compensation for recruiting more money instead of producing more product. New deposits paying old returns. That's not entrepreneurship. That's a Ponzi with a praise break. Proverbs 11:1. The Lord detests dishonest scales, but accurate weights find favor with him. Hear the weight of that word, detests. If the opportunity requires you to fudge your income on a form, mislabel funds, hide conflicts, or pitch what you don't understand just to get a cut, the price isn't just dollars, it is your integrity. And once you start bending truth to make a buck, money becomes your master and shame your payroll. The trap doesn't just take your savings, it recruits your character. You start talking fast like they taught you, borrowing testimonies you never lived, selling complexity so people won't notice the emptiness. That is how souls go on sale, one just this once at a time. So here's what you do tonight. Write this on an index card and tape it to your laptop. If I can't teach the deal to a 15-year-old in 2 minutes with a pen and paper, customer, product, price, costs, margin, timeline, custody, exit, I do not fund it. Call one wise, boring person with receipts, not charisma, and make them your permanent second set of eyes. Pull licenses, verify with regulators, demand audited or CPA-reviewed numbers. Ask for 3 paying clients you can call without chaperones. If they get offended, the meeting is over. Pressure punishes questions. Wisdom welcomes them. Understand what I was doing when I closed that door. I didn't just save you from losing money. I saved you from becoming the kind of person who chases lies. You are not a mark. You are my builder. Build with light on the ledger and truth in your mouth. Clean hands, clear math, simple story. If you can't explain it simply, don't fund it. Rule 5. Preparation determines the size of your miracle. Go back with me to 2 Kings 4. A widow, a creditor at the door threatening to take her sons. Desperation in her voice. Elisha doesn't hand her a sack of coins, he hands her an instruction. Go outside, borrow vessels from all your neighbors, empty vessels and not too few. Then go in, shut the door behind you and your sons, and pour into all those vessels. She moves, she borrows, she shuts the door, she pours, the oil flows, jar after jar fills. It only stops when she asks for another and her son says, "There is not another," and the oil stopped. Hear me. The oil did not stop because I ran out of power. It stopped because she ran out of preparation. Then Elisha tells her to sell the oil, pay the debt, and live on the rest. Miracle plus math, provision plus plan, movement plus margin. You keep asking me to pour, but you keep bringing 1 jar because you won't do the work. You want overflow without containers. You want scale without structure. You want God enlarge my territory while refusing to measure square footage or pull permits. Faith is not the refusal to prepare. Faith prepares more than it feels necessary because it expects me to move. The size of your readiness is the ceiling of your result. The oil stops when the jars stop. Translate the jars. In your world, jars are preparation containers. Paperwork is a jar. Lenders, clients, and even open doors require order. Gather your last 2 years of tax returns, last 3 months of bank statements, profit and loss if you're a business, your EIN, your operating agreement, your licenses, your insurance certificates. If you don't have them, that is why the oil has nowhere to sit. Credit cleanup is a jar. Pull your reports, dispute errors, set every card to automatic minimums today. Negotiate deletions on paid collections. Stop adding inquiries and close sneaky subscriptions that keep you below water. Savings is a jar. Open a separate high-yield account named Peace. Automate a transfer the day after payday and build sinking funds for tires, copays, renewals, and taxes. Training is a jar. Pick one skill the market pays for, block 60 minutes daily. Finish a course, build a portfolio sample, document 3 case studies. Market research is a jar. Interview 10 real customers, write down their exact words, price test 2 offers, know your unit economics cold. Cost to acquire, cost to deliver, real margin. Budget is a jar. Track every dollar for 30 days, every single one, then assign next month on paper before it begins. Systems are jars. Build an invoice template, a CRM, a follow-up script, a weekly outreach target, and pipeline review. Counsel is a jar. Schedule 1 meeting with a boring licensed advisor or veteran owner. Time is a jar. Block the calendar. Non-negotiable work blocks where you prepare like someone who expects rain. Make a jar list tonight. Title a page, Jars, and write 12 lines. Documents to gather, habits to fix, skills to learn, customers to call, subscriptions to cancel, accounts to open, debts to attack, licenses to file, prices to set, scripts to practice, advisors to consult, buffers to build, then move, assign dates, put your phone on Do Not Disturb, and pour. The oil responds to obedience, not to wishes. I multiply what you make room for. If you bring me thimbles, you will live thimble to thimble, post to post, miracle to miracle with no margin. If you bring me barrels, I will fill barrels and leave you with live on the rest. So the closed bank door wasn't the end. It was me saying, bring more jars, expand your containers, order your house, prepare like you believe I will pour. When the jars are ready, either the right door opens or you discover you built so much capacity you don't need the door you were begging for. Rule 6. Build income before you borrow. Skill is a seed I can breathe on. Hear me. You don't have a loan problem. You have a cash flow and skill problem. You're standing outside a bank asking for oxygen while ignoring the lungs I told you to build. Proverbs 22:29. Do you see a person skillful in their work? They will stand before kings. They will not stand before obscure men. Doors open for skill, not hype, not entitlement, prepared hands. Ecclesiastes 10:10. If the axe is dull and one does not sharpen the edge, he must use more strength, but wisdom brings success. Sharpen first, swing later. Proverbs 10:4. The hand of the diligent makes rich, not the loud, not the busy, the diligent. Hear why I closed that door, because a loan without income is a leash. You wanted money to cover a gap only mastery can close. You prayed for funding. I told you to forge. Even in Exodus 31, I filled Bezalel with the Spirit of God. To do what? Skill, craftsmanship, design. The Spirit didn't skip the shop. He sanctified it. Your workshop is not a downgrade from my presence. It's where my presence turns grace into blueprints and invoices. Here's your plan. Pick one marketable skill. One. Not scatter, not dabble. One thing someone will pay for within 30 days of seeing proof. Bookkeeping, copywriting, sales calling, customer support, spreadsheets and dashboards, project management, short-form video editing, website setup, lawn care, mobile detailing, notary services, CDL, HVAC helper, electrician apprentice, medical billing, barbering, braiding, photography, welding. Stop romanticizing and choose. Then run a 60 to 90-day sprint. Block 60 minutes daily, non-negotiable. Study, practice, ship. Build 3 portfolio pieces that prove outcomes. Before/after. Problem/solution. Numbers moved. Not theory. Receipts. Start paid small. Price a starter offer you can deliver fast. $99 audit, $250 edit, $400 weekend project, $800 bookkeeping setup, $1,200 dashboard. Over-deliver. Collect testimonials and data. Package the case studies. Raise the rate. Repeat. Aim for your first $1,000, then your first $3,000, then your first $5,000 from this skill. Save 50% of the new money to peace and tools. Reinvest in better equipment only after the work justifies it. Build income first so tools become multipliers, not mascots. Excuses die tonight. YouTube is free. Your library card unlocks courses for free. Community college night classes cost less than 1 month of a bad car payment. Apprenticeships pay you to learn. SCORE mentors will sit with you for free and rip the fog off your plan. Local small business development centers, free. LinkedIn job boards, Craigslist gigs, church bulletin networks, free. None of this requires a lender's permission. Zero cost doesn't mean zero value, it means zero excuses. Because if I opened that bank door too early, you would have used debt to replace discipline. You would have bought gear to avoid growth, inventory to avoid sales, a lease to avoid skill. I love you too much to let a payment schedule masquerade as progress. Build the engine. Then, if you borrow at all, it's to pour fuel on a machine already printing, not to invent one on payments. So here's what you do tonight. Pick the skill. Write a 30/60/90 plan. Learn, build, sell. Block your calendar. Draft your first offer and the one-page landing or flyer. Make a list of 20 people or businesses to message. Send 5 messages before bed. Book 1 SCORE mentor session. Put your hands to something I can multiply. I breathe on skill. I favor diligent hands. Build income before you borrow, and the same door that said no will have to move, or you'll outgrow the need for it altogether. Rule 7. Diversify so one door can't destroy you. Ecclesiastes 11:2. Invest in 7, yes, in 8, for you do not know what disaster may come upon the land. Hear the heart in that command. That's not greed, that's humility. You don't know. Markets shift. Bosses change. Algorithms rewrite themselves at midnight. A storm rips a roof. A client ghosts. Diversification is not worldliness. It's worship that admits you are not God, and therefore you must not bet your whole future on one fragile plank. This is why the bank's no was mercy. You were about to put your entire tomorrow into one truck, one storefront, one landlord, one contract, one platform, one client, one point of failure, one nail away from foreclosure. If I had let you load all your calling on a single axle, a small pothole would have snapped the whole thing. I clipped the deal because I refused to let one door carry the right to erase you. So here is my blueprint. Primary stability, side cash, long-term seed. 3 rails you will run starting now. First, strengthen the primary income. If it's a job, become so useful they can't imagine the team without you. Proverbs 22:29. Skill up, cross-train, add a certification, ask for higher leverage work. Cap your lifestyle so raises turn into reserves, not rims. If it's a business, stop riding one client to glory. No single customer above 25 to 30% of revenue. Build a pipeline, package a retainer, create a small maintenance plan that pays even when new sales slow. Second, add one side income that is service-based and simple. Cash flow in 30 days. You already picked a skill. Now sell it in a way that doesn't require inventory or leases. Weekend edits, bookkeeping setups, power washing, tutoring, mobile detailing, short-form content. Pick a lane you can run at night or Saturdays. Price it, calendar it, and ship it. This stream is your shock absorber. When the main road slows, you keep moving. Third, establish one long-term track that compounds while you sleep. Automate 10 to 15% of take-home into broad, boring investments. Proverbs 13:11, money gathered little by little grows. Workplace 401k, up to the match. If you're solo, open a Roth IRA or solo 401k. Set it and let time do what hustle cannot. Pair it with peace. 3 to 6 months of expenses in cash, automated out of every paycheck. That cushion is not fear. It's fuel for patience when doors stall. Wrap resilience with shields. Insurance is stewardship. Health insurance so a broken arm doesn't break your budget. Term life if someone depends on your income. 20 years, 10 to 12 times your annual. Disability because your hands are your harvesters. For business, general liability and a separate account for taxes, so Caesar doesn't arrive like a thief. You forgot. Here's your move tonight. Draw 3 columns, primary, side, long-term. Under primary, write one skill to sharpen and one move that raises your pay or pipeline in 30 days. Underside, circle one service and set a first offer with a date. Under long term, pick the account and set the automatic draft at the next paycheck. Then list your shields. Emergency fund target, policies to review, beneficiaries to update. You are not building empires, you are building resilience. Cast your bread upon the waters, Ecclesiastes 11:1, and in many days it returns because you sent it in more than one direction. Stop dreaming of 8 streams tomorrow. Build the second, then the third. Slow is smooth. Smooth is strong. Strong survives. God's protection often looks like diversification, so one hit doesn't take you out. Now let's talk about the part nobody wants to admit. Sometimes the closed door is about your self-control. Listen to me. A city with broken walls doesn't need an army to fall. It leaks itself to death. Proverbs 25:28, like a city whose walls are broken down, is a person who lacks self-control. That's why money keeps slipping through your fingers, not because I won't bless you, but because you won't build walls. You're crying for overflow while shopping with buckets full of holes. Hear me clearly and kindly. Without self-control, every blessing becomes a leak. This is spiritual warfare. Stop treating your spending like a harmless hobby. That impulse you call a little treat, that I deserve it after a hard week. That cart you load at 1 a.m. to medicate a mood, that is a demon with a receipt. Retail therapy is not therapy, it's worship at the altar of feelings. Meanwhile, algorithms study your boredom, push the flash sale, whisper, only 3 left, and you bow to the countdown clock like it's a god. Not today. Galatians 5:23 calls self-control a fruit of the Spirit. If my Spirit lives in you, then restraint is not beyond you. It is in you, and tonight it gets activated. Here's what nobody told you in church. I won't keep pouring into a bucket you refuse to stop poking holes in. You ask for more. I ask for mastery. You pray for increase. I demand integrity in the small. Luke 16:10. Faithful with little, faithful with much. If little leaks, much will drown you. So we fight, practically, immediately. For the next 30 days, track every expense, every single one. Pen and paper, notes, app, spreadsheet, doesn't matter. Awareness is a wall. You will not defeat what you refuse to measure. Tonight, unsubscribe from temptation. Email promos, influencer must-haves, store apps that ping your limbic system, kill the notifications, delete the apps. If you must buy non-essentials, you live by the 1-week rule. Add to list, wait 7 days, then decide with a clear head and a counted budget. For leaks that mock your resolve, go tactile. Cash envelopes for groceries, dining, personal spending. When the envelope is empty, the month is over. No arguments, no vibes. If your cards are your weakness, remove them from your phone wallet, freeze one in a bag of water if you must, and force friction back into your life. Friction is a friend. It slows thieves. Establish hard boundaries. Cap dining out at $1 amount you can say out loud without shame. Set a clothing budget that serves your calling, not your ego. Ban buy now, pay later. That is just bleed next week's. Rename sinking funds and automate them. Tires, co-pays, gifts, travel, repairs. When purpose is pre-funded, emergencies stop pretending to be opportunities, and institute the midnight rule. You do not buy when you're tired, angry, lonely, or bored. Halt is holy. If hunger makes you shop, eat first. If loneliness makes you scroll, call a friend. If boredom is your trigger, block the hour for building the skill that pays you. This is how thieves get evicted. Budget is a wall. Boundaries are gates. Discipline is your watchman. Do this and watch peace return to your house. Then, when a door closes, you won't panic buy your way into chains. You'll have clarity. Because once your walls are up, you can finally tell the difference between a door I closed for your protection and a path you blocked with your own habits. And we're about to run the tests that make that crystal clear. Here are the tests. 5. Simple, ruthless. You run them tonight and before every signature, swipe, or partnership. Delay is not always demonic. Sometimes it's diagnostic. These will tell you if the closed door was my protection or your procrastination. Test 1. Peace versus pressure. Colossians 3:15 says, "Let the peace of Christ rule. Act as an umpire in your heart." Isaiah 30:15, "In quietness and trust is your strength." Proverbs 19:2 warns that haste makes you miss the way. So ask, is this calm wisdom or an emotional rush? If the pitch needs a countdown clock and a tonight only, if questions get punished, if your chest is tight and your mind is foggy, that's not guidance. Pressure punishes questions, wisdom welcomes them. If it screams now, your answer is later. If you can sleep on it and still see it clearly in morning light, proceed. If it withers under rest, it was hype, not heaven. Test 2. Paperwork versus fantasy. Luke 14:28. Sit down and count the cost. Proverbs 27:23. Know well the condition of your flocks. Translation, documents or dreams. Do the terms and numbers match the promise? Ask for the contract, the amortization schedule, the APR, fees, prepayment penalties, personal guarantees, variable rate index, balloon dates, covenants. In business, ask for P&L, cash flow forecasts, customer lists, unit economics. If it can't live on paper, it will die in reality. No paperwork, no peace. If the documents contradict the sales pitch is a lie. Walk. Test 3. Counsel. Proverbs 15:22. Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed. Have you submitted this to wise counsel, or just to cheerleaders who need you to win so they feel better? You want boring, licensed, experienced eyes. Score mentor, CPA, seasoned owner, older saint with receipts, not charisma. Give them the full numbers and permission to say no. If counsel is split, you wait. If all your advisors are on commission, you don't have counsel, you have sales reps. Test 4. Fruit. Matthew 7:16. By their fruits you will know them. Does this path increase integrity, clarity, and responsibility, or secrecy, shortcuts, and spin? Will you need to hide it from your spouse, round your numbers on forms, or just this once bend the truth? The Lord detests dishonest scales. Proverbs 11:1. If the move invites light, accountability, and better stewardship, that's fruit. If it needs shadows to work, it's rot. If you wouldn't be proud to read the terms out loud in your small group, don't sign. Test 5. Capacity. Do you actually have the margin, time, cash, and skill to carry this, or are you begging debt to be your strength? Count hours honestly. If your calendar is already redlined, this opportunity is a theft of sleep and sanity. Count cash. Do you have emergency cushion, runway for slow months, tools paid for, a minimum 20% buffer over projections? Count skill. Can you deliver at today's price without learning on a customer's dime? If your plan only works with perfect conditions and borrowed stamina, it's not a plan. It's a prayer you want a lender to answer. I closed the door because I refuse to let payments pretend to be power. Write these 5 on a card. Peace, paperwork, counsel, fruit, capacity. Tape it to your wallet, your laptop, your door. Before every signature, swipe, or partnership, run the tests. If any fail, you pause or you kill it. If all 5 pass, move with confidence. Not tomorrow. Tonight, pick one pending decision, run the tests, and obey what the light reveals. Breathe. Look again at that lobby moment, the email rejection, the banker's smile with "unfortunately." You thought I humiliated you. You walked to your car feeling like faith failed and friends were watching. Heaven felt silent like your prayers hit glass. Hear me now, I did not embarrass you. I exposed the trap before it closed on you. What felt like rejection was rescue. What felt like shame was shielding. My no didn't protect your feelings, it protected your future. Let me show you the disaster you didn't see. That amazing variable rate jumping in month 13. Balloon note waiting like a snake in the grass. The personal guarantee that would have handcuffed your paycheck and your spouse's sleep. A partner's quiet embezzlement discovered when vendors sued. A product recall that triggers a lawsuit with your name on every line. Chargebacks piling up. A regulator's letter with 30 days to respond or forfeit. The repo truck at 5 a.m. hauling the vehicle you needed for the business while your child watches from the window. The bankruptcy hearing where you explain an Instagram dream to a judge with a calculator. Thanksgiving at a folding table, smiles strained because your opportunity torched the margin that keeps peace. The slow death of trust in your own house, spouse side-eye, secrets around spending, prayers that feel heavy because your conscience knows you signed a covenant with foolishness. I saw all of it. I closed a door and saved years. So reframe the memory. That branch door is not a scar. It is a memorial stone. 1 Samuel 7, Ebenezer, thus far the Lord has helped us. Write it, God blocked chains. When you tell this story, don't say, they denied me. Say, God redirected me. Don't call it wasted time. Call it a tuition payment for wisdom you will not ignore again. Your future self, clear-eyed, debt-light, margin-rich, just sent a thank you note to my no. Now release what got tangled around your heart. Release bitterness toward the banker. They were not your enemy. They were the usher that escorted you out of a trap. Release envy toward the person who posted keys and contracts. They didn't post the payment schedule. Release the need to prove something to people I never assigned as your audience. Stop auditioning for a feed. You answer to me. Say it out loud. Father, I forgive. I receive your rescue. I lay down my need to perform. Thank you for closing what would have caged me. Feel the relief? Good. Now convert gratitude into obedience. You've run the tests. You've seen the rot behind the ribbon. So you don't go back to urgency as guidance, to fog as wisdom, to debt as strength. The old way is over. From this moment, no from man becomes a prompt to examine, prepare, and proceed in my order. If a door opens later, it meets a different you, walled by self-control, diversified, skill in hand, jars ready. And if it never opens, you won't beg, you'll build. We move now from relief to regimen, simple, immediate obedience that turns protection into progress. Start breathing like someone I just spared, and get ready to move like someone I'm about to send. Here is how you translate rescue into results. 7 days, simple and ruthless. Not inspiration, instructions. You will feel me in the clarity. You will prove faith with movement. God's protection becomes your progress when you respond with immediate, practical obedience. Starting tonight. Day 1. Track every expense, every single one. Open your Notes app or a paper pad and write down everything you spent in the last 24 hours and everything you spend for the next 30 days. Don't round, don't excuse. Name the leak. Subscriptions, fees, snacks, scroll buys. Tonight, cancel what doesn't serve calling or covenant. Turn off store notifications. Delete the top 2 shopping apps. Awareness is a wall. Start building. Day 2. List every debt, smallest to largest. Balance, interest rate, minimum payment, due date. Choose your weapon, snowball for motivation or avalanche for math. Then make 1 extra payment tonight on the first target. $10 counts, 20 counts. Momentum over moods. Set every card to automatic minimum so you never pay late fees again. You're not waiting for a miracle. You're making room for one. Day 3. Pull your credit reports. Stop guessing. Go to the official site, download all 3, print or save. Highlight errors. Dispute what's wrong. Set reminders for every due date. If impulse is your enemy, place a credit freeze. Add alerts for charges. You cannot steward what you refuse to see. Proverbs 27:23. Know well the condition of your flocks. Your score is not your worth, but it is a gatekeeper. Bring it into order. Day 4. Pick one skill the market pays for and schedule 60 minutes daily to sharpen it. One skill, not 10. YouTube is free. Your library is free. Community college night classes cost less than a payment you shouldn't have. SCORE and your small business development center, free mentors. Build one portfolio sample this week. Draft one simple offer. Send 5 outreach messages before you sleep. Heaven breathes on diligent hands. Day 5. Build a basic budget with margin, zero-based. Name every dollar before the month starts. Cap lifestyle. Automate savings, even 5%, into your peace account the day after payday. Create sinking funds for tires, co-pays, gifts, and taxes. Margin is ministry to your future. Proverbs 13:11. Gather little by little. Little is not failure, little is foundation. Day 6. Run the 5 tests on every current deal or partnership. Peace, paperwork, counsel, fruit, capacity. If it fails, add the missing paperwork or walk away. Email tonight for contracts, terms, and real numbers. If they dodge, you detach. Light loves documents, darkness hates them. Choose light. Day 7. Seek counsel and lock accountability. Book time with your pastor for prayer covering. Sit with one financially wise person who has receipts, not just opinions. Schedule a free SCORE session or SBDC advisor. Bring your numbers. Give them permission to say no. If you're married, align with your spouse and set a weekly money meeting. Accountability is protection. Look at me. You are not cursed, not forgotten, not destined to be broke. You are called to build with wisdom and margin. But you must obey. Not someday, tonight. If this set you free, don't keep it to yourself. Like this, share it, subscribe, and pull someone you love out of a trap they're calling a blessing. Pick the first step and move. I already opened the way. Walk it.